Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let us try and find out the truth about these witness testimonies. Oh, what did I just press? Alright, so when it happened, the only two people in the enclosed cabin were the victim and the defendant. And so help me, 3 whole people witnessed the man I'm trying to defend to the deed. Oh, I think I accidentally skipped that last statement I was supposed to press on. I like being pessimistic, but we need blah blah blah. Rather difficult, we need to find more information. Alright, let's just skip this part because I need to go back into their testimonies. Let me see, yeah, I was on this last one that I didn't get the press. As soon as I heard the scream, I stopped my bus and then I saw it too. What exactly did you see? Oh, well, sir, that would be the passenger, sir. Yes, collapsed on the floor. Wait, who was collapsed on the floor? And by the passenger, obviously you're referring to the victim, Mr. Mason, the brickmaker. And then the other passenger had that knife in his hand like this. By the other passenger, you're obviously referring to the accused, Mr. Magnus McGilden. And the plunged it down like this. And the passenger's belly. What? My lord, I wish to speak. Yes, juror number 5. As the master of the London Guild of Coachmen, I have indeed not the idea of a murder being committed in one of the city's carriages is utterly abhorrent to me. I wouldn't be right to make a decision before hearing all the facts, though, I said to myself. But I've heard enough now. The horse has bolted, as they say. No, please, keep an open mind. Gee up now, Silverblaze. The finish is in sight. Are you kidding me? Should I not be pressing people? Is that what's happening? Beepo is a long-standing member of the guild, and I trust what the man says. Oh, thank you, sir. You're the kind. This is too unkind. Which means now the 5 jurors agree to condemn this man. Madam, juror number 6. Oh, please don't force it out of her. Yes, dear, what can I do for you? You have heard the testimonies of the witnesses in the stand. Ah, yes, I certainly have. Still got my hearing, you know? Then, pray tell, why are you yet to pronounce your leaning? Well, dear, the thing is, I'm a creature of habit, me. I always go to the park at around this time of day, and sit on a nice bench and get on with my knitting. There's a lovely little park just near where I live. McGilded Park, it's called. The gentleman donated it to the city, you know. Put a smile on the Londoners' faces, he said. Can't imagine such a fine young gentleman would have it in him to take another man's life. He's always doing wonderful things in the city. Why is old lady's our only hope here? That's right, a man like him wouldn't stab someone, surely. But then maybe go to McGilded Park later and borrow some more books. How many Londoners live with their heads in the clouds? Do you people not know what kind of man Magnus McGilded really is? What kind of man he is? The philanthropist Magnus McGilded has enough wealth to purchase the entire city he claims to value so highly. But where did all that wealth come from? The client is a Shylock, sure. The one with very darkest of souls. What? Stone the crows! Mr. McGilden lends money at extortionate rates of interest, so his victims have no hope of repaying him. When they default, he takes possession of everything they own. He is a vulture that preys on the weak. I've never heard of any mention of this before. Your faculties haven't deserted you, I'm sure, madam. So, has this thought crossed your mind? Would a man wealthy enough to buy London in its entirety not have a carriage of his own? What possible reason would this man have had to make use of a public omnibus service? That is actually a really good point. You're not saying that the victim, a poor brickmaker, had next to nothing to his name. save considerable financial liability. It will come as no surprise that his creditor was the accused Magnus McGill. But let it also be known that the very day Mr. Mason was killed was the fine repayment date for his debt. Good gracious. The brickmaster was destitute. He had lost his house, he had nothing, not a shilling with which to repay his debts. And in the end, this pitiful soul had the very last thing he owned taken from him, his life. But the merciless philanthropist pretender, Magnus McGilded, I don't believe it. If I may add something briefly, Mr. Sato, you claim that the witness had been lent money by Mr. McGilded, but where is the evidence to support your claim? Oh, you just got wine right here. Hello. You be drinking in the middle of court. Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollowed chalice in a court of law. Ah, there it is! Lord Van Zeek's hollowed chalice. What is that supposed to mean? I could just consider it acceptable. But I find myself in unexpectedly good humor. I had heard ladies from the Far East could show great courage, but I didn't expect to experience it myself. As a judicial assistant to defense, I am simply doing my job. What a pity that your display of courage is in vain. This is the debtor's ledger, which details all monies loaned by the accused. You will find the victim's name clearly recorded inside. Allow me to present this ledger as evidence. And pray forgive the discourtesy of raising my chalice in a toast to the enigmatic East at the same time. A marvelous toast, Counsel. I will gladly accept this new evidence. Alright, let's go check out this evidence. Open it up, please. Yes, can we just look inside? We don't have time to debate about all this. Alright, we got a few writing here that I cannot read at all. Gosh, it's crammed full of gentlemen's names, isn't it? Well, I suppose they're probably not all gentlemen at all, are they? After all, not everyone in this country is well off. Ah, goodness, what is it? Look at this. Do you see his name? Bruce Fairplay. Did that mean something to me? It sounds strangely familiar. Bruce Fairplay, the witness testifying at this very moment. Oh yes, of course, the banker. Why is his name here? Ah, he borrowed 20 guineas, did he? And look, the repayment date is fast approaching. It's possible that this is just a coincidence, of course, but this could be very useful information. Interesting. That's an odd coincidence. Let's see. Oh, it's the same thing, isn't it? Anything else? Can I turn the page? Doesn't seem like. Nothing else. But that's very good to note. 20 guineas, the victim owned a considerable sum. And the accused made asserted he had ample recompense. Well, it would seem I have had the wool pulled over my eyes. Forgettably, madam, that is the most modus operandi of accused. And it's such a pretty little punk, too. What a scoundrel. He's so angry. No, wait. Still. Don't do it. Maybe it's all for the best. No, wait a minute. I don't stand for this nonsense. What is going on here? All the jurors said no. Oh, they said he's guilty. Why even get to do anything? That was it. That was the last juror. Can we have a little bit more facts here? According to Encyclopedia of British Law, when all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, court proceedings are suspended, and the presiding judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. That's what it says here. Ah, the final verdict's over. Oh. There's a footnote, though. A footnote. However, the defense... All 6 members of the jury are now in agreement in this case. I just feel like I had no chance, but I don't even know what's going on. Allow me to convey my respects to your swift and righteous decision. According to the laws of this law, I will now conclude the trial. By delivering my final verdict, I trust there are no objections. I mean, Mr. Sato, just tell me one thing. Oh, yes. You were in the middle of saying something before. The footnote in your encyclopedia of the British law, however, the defense... What did it say next? Oh, yes, of course. One moment. Yes, please tell us that. When all members of the jury have concluded that the defendant is guilty, the court proceedings are suspended, and the proceedings judge will deliver the final verdict and sentence. Wow, I cannot read. Then the footnote says, however, the defense has the right to demand a summation examination of the jurors at this point. What, to see whether they're biased or not? Oh, summation examination.
Objection!
A summation examination, of which centuries has the tome you have been resurrected. Judging from the binding, I would say the book is at least 50 years old. Any modern text on British law wouldn't even give such an antiquated procedure a mention. It's a relic long forgotten and certainly no longer practiced. So you're out of luck. I mean, is there a law that said you guys removed it or changed it? I would very much like to know that. What even is it, Mr. Sato? This so-called summation examination? Oh, one moment, I'll read about it. I like that they wait for us to figure this out. You would demand the right to a procedure before you even understand what it entails. Typical Nipponese. Alright, Mr. Naruto, I think I understand. It seems that under the procedure, we would be able to appeal to the members of the jury. To do what exactly? Appeal to them, to change their leaning and reverse the decisions, and it says here that if successful, the proceedings of this trial must be resumed. Make them reverse the decisions. Yes, in times gone by, barristers would use a summation examination to attempt to influence the jury's decision. But that procedure became something of a formality with no practical benefits. Really, so it rather fell out of use. I wonder why. Because it was devoid of purpose. I don't know, sounds like it has purpose. Changing just one member of the jury's mind would be hard enough, let alone several. No self-respecting defense barrister would even assert his right to try this day and age. Well, this is us. We're gonna try. I don't see any mentions of the procedure actually being formally revoked. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that although it may be antiquated and largely forgotten, it isn't yet extinct. What do you think, Mr. Naruto? Summation examination. Now, last possible option. Did we assert our right to carry it out? Yes, let us assert our rights. The defense wishes to assert its right to a summation examination,
Objection!
my lord. London is the capital city of the most powerful nation on earth. We have a duty to the world to exemplify the very high standards of judicial procedure. Summation examination are an embarrassment that should remain buried.
Objection!
But if it's our right, it is our right. I believe it could prove vital in this trial. The defense petition is perfectly valid. The court will proceed with the summation examination. This is madness. Foreman, are you and the remainder of the jury ready? I'm not, there was no mention of this in the letter I received, you see. Well, members of the jury will be asked to explain on what grounds they have reached the decision. On what grounds? You must all justify your decision and explain why you believe the defendant is to be guilty. Well, my lord, you're rather putting us on the spot. It sounds like you all just decided he was guilty because someone told you to. I don't really hold with all the justifying lyrics. That seems to have thrown the jurors off. It seems none of them have experienced this before. Alright then, summation examination. Defense procedure no practicing lawyer has attempted for years, isn't it? Well, just maybe, it might be the opportunity we've been looking for to turn this trial around. So be it then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court hereby calls upon you. State the grounds on which you find the defendant, Magnus McGilded, guilty of his most serious crime. Alright, so now we gotta disprove the jury and make them change their mind. Because they can't just say guilty just because they wanted to. There was no one else inside the carriage at the time, so it has to have been him. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory, it seems. 4 passengers with fares totaling 20 pence. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say. Absolutely brazen. I've simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn the logical conclusion. You can trust the guild. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices for over 4 pence for years. Above 4 pence for years. The scoundrel stabbing that poor man on the floor. It beggars belief. Wait, did he say it was 4 pence? I'm gonna have to look into that. I'm starting to wish I hadn't pushed it this now. Some of the jurors don't seem to have wonderfully formed arguments, would they? Well, let's see what we can do. We need to get these 6 people to change their minds. I'll have to throw everything I can at them and use some of the persuasive language. Just a moment, Naruto. According to my book, that's not quite how it works. Oh, I thought I was going to have to thaw their icy minds with some heartwarming rhetorics about the defendant. Unfortunately, once the jurors have decided the defendant is guilty, they are unlikely to heed anything the defense says. But then, they reach their conclusion by their own reasoning, you see. Your pleas will sound like excuses. In fact, it could recoil on you. The more you try to persuade them, the more entrenched they may become. Then what are other men supposed to do? Oh dear, I'm just citing what I've read on the British law, Mr. Naruto. Fred, I'm sorry. Do you have any idea how to make this work then? Well, from what I can understand, the keys to this procedure is using the jurors' own words to make your own arguments. What do you mean? Well, the 6 members of the jury are just randomly selected members of the public. They may appear to present a united front, but the truth is, they are complete strangers who just happen to find themselves in the courtroom together. And that's the way to break them down. Wait, I think I already see one way to break 2 people down. Or 1 person down with another person's words. You must listen to them carefully, and the jurors say, if we can identify the contradictory statements, we then contrast the statements and pit the corresponding jurors against each other. See, so it's contradictions and what 2 or more jurors say they were looking for. In a way, then, this is similar to regular cross-examination. Oh yes, I suppose you're right. Alright, find contradictions and pit the jurors against each other. Short and simple. But now let's hope it is simple. I have to pull this off. Can we start proceedings, counsel? I would ask you to take the stand for this. I'm expecting a clear and concise rebuttal. Yes, my lord. Alrighty, let's see how this goes. The defense rebuttal. Let's see. Let's pit. We can press people, actually. There was no inside the carriage at the time, so it has to be. Is it bad to press them a lot? Certainly. The testimonies we've heard, the victim and Mr. Gilded were alone in the carriage. Precisely my point. But, could there be some other explanation, something we haven't considered? Such as... perhaps that's something we could work out together. Now listen here. Maybe you don't know how things work around here because you're from a foreign clime, but we're here to form our opinions as individuals, and I have. Oh dear, he doesn't appear to be in the mood to consider an alternate view, does he? No, I'm gonna have to pit the jurors against one another. Alright, let's listen to the contradictions and see what the ones straight off the bat. This one, though. I trust the drivers. Excuse me. I trust the driver. He has an excellent memory. It seems 4 passengers, with fares totaling 20 pence. Alright, so it's 20 pence in total for 4 passengers. And then this guy here says, you can trust the guild. Fares is our motto. Fair fares is our motto. We haven't raised prices above 4 pence. Yeah, that's kind of my favorite. Alright, 4 pence, he says. But there's only 4 people, so that could only mean that there was 16 pences in total. But according to her, there was 20, which means there was a fifth person. Let's see. Can I pit you against his?
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict each other. They do? Explain yourself, counsel. Me? Oh dear, what have I said? I swear on Silver Blaze's main name, I have yet the first idea what you're talking about. According to the group testimonies we've heard so far, there were 4 passengers on the omnibus on the night in question. And according to the coachman, Mr. Bippo, he took 20 pence in fares. Quite right, I have those precise details typed neatly here in front of me. And drawer number 5 also told us the following. The fare on an omnibus is always 4 pence. Is it a fair and convenient single price, just the way London carriages should be operated? But that doesn't add up at all. In fact, it leaves a glaring discrepancy in the facts. Why, man, why? 4 passengers paying 4 pence each. If you do the multiplication, it would be 16 pence. Exactly. As you said, it doesn't add up, and the figures are different. By 4 pence, in fact. Precisely 1 person's fare. 1 person's fare. Yes. In other words, on the omnibus that night, it's distinctly possible there was another passenger we've heard nothing about. Good gracious! What? This can't be right. The coachmen of the guild are good, honest men, one and all. Trustworthiness is our watchword. The figures your coachman claims most certainly do not add up. Your watchword, good sir, is a fallacy. I beg your pardon? Mr. Guildmaster, I think you ought to consider that if this trial were to end now, the news will surely spread all over London. The news that one of your coachmen tried to hide the fact that he lets nefarious characters ride his omnibus. Alright then, how do you make it so that miserable trial doesn't end? Well, according to my book here, you simply launch a ball of fire into the innocent side and set the set of scales. Now hold your horses here, coachman. We were all in agreement. Wait till I get my hands on you, Bippo. Oh, poor guy. At least we got one. Hopefully we can get the other lady, but we'll see. Maybe their thoughts will change. Oh, this is all very irritating. Begging your pardon, sir. I'm going to do the same. Hey, there we go. Alright, maybe we can change everyone else's, but maybe this is enough to keep us in balance. For the love of Mike, not you as well. A penny can be the difference between a smile and a tear, after all. I certainly can't put my trust in someone who doesn't follow my exacting standards in financial matters. Oh, really? I, for one, think it is only proper that we hear from the witnesses again. Oh, there we go. We saved it. If we can manage to change 2 more jurors' minds, we can force the trial to continue. 2 more, actually. Okay, so we have to change the mind a little bit more. Here's something else that bothers me about the couple of their assertions. Then what? Then that's what you must strike next. So you need to pit them in the contradiction. Okay, just repeating ourselves here. Well, the scales of justice have shifted, but they still weigh on the heavy side of guilt. Counsel, you have the floor again. Alright, let's see who's left. Oops, I didn't see what she said. I'm changing my lean to innocence. I should hear what the slipshod bookkeeper has to say for himself. He stuck the chap next to him just like this. Brazen, I must say, absolutely brazen. I've simply typed and collated all the statements made thus far and drawn a logical conclusion. Before this trial is to continue, so I can get to the bottom of this corruption. No guilty, I say. The scoundrel stabbing the poor man on the floor. Excuse me.
Objection!
These people are everywhere. Those 2 statements are completely contradictory. What? Explain, counsel. Post haste. Oh, dear me, I was only knitting a jumper for my other half. What is all this claptrap? What does contradictory even mean, I ask? We've heard from more than one witness. They allegedly saw the actual moment when the defendant stabbed the victim. Now, out of curiosity, juror number 3. What? Can you see I'm busy here? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim? What sort of motion was it? Want to test me again, do you? It was like this, stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. Just like the prim banker said. Yes, that was Mr. Fairplay's testimony, quite true. Now then, juror number 6. Oh, is that me, is it? How would you say the defendant stabbed the victim, madam? Oh, well dear, as far as I understand it was like this. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. The coachman said so. Now, don't move! Take a look at those 2 jurors. He stuck the fellow next to him without even getting up. He stabbed the poor man after he collapsed on the floor. Well, I never. They're stabbing in totally different directions. What? Bless my stitches. What a muddle. What this tells us is that there is a strong possibility that one of the witnesses isn't telling the truth. But why the dickens would they lie? I don't know that yet, but what I do know is that if the trial ends at this point, we may never find out. We may never know the real truth. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, can you really let that happen in all good conscience? Lies, you say? Oh dearie me. I can't abide people telling lies. The scales. I don't believe it. Wait! Now hear this, my fellow jurors. I warn you, you cannot listen to this man. Look at him in his black suit. He's clearly some various Eastern sorcerer using magic on us all. If I could use magic, do you really think I'd be putting myself through all this? Answer me this, dark jinx. Huh? Me? What exactly is the problem? What if these 2 witnesses have slightly different recollection of the event? What if it's... Let's say that the Shylock did stab the victim as he sat next to him on the omnibus. And this young dandy saw him do it too. Now let's say the victim collapsed on the floor and the Shylock stabbed him again. And this old lady saw him do it. Well, what's to say it didn't happen like that, Who are you calling dandy, sir? Why, I should take this knife to you. Who are you calling old? Why, I should take this needle to you. Ugh, they're ready to kill each other. Well, could the foreman of the jury be right? Did the 2 witnesses see two different things at the moment of the same crime? I mean, let's check our court record really quick, which clearly says... With a knife, whistling their journey of the area. Stabbed once in the abdomen. Once. It is out of the question. Unfortunately, Mr. Foreman. What is it, you dark jinx? Come out with it. What you're suggesting is impossible. It's out of the question. What are you talking about, man? How can we possibly say that? You don't realize that I'm just doing my job. As a foreman of the jury, I have the responsibility to steer everyone in the right direction. So where's your evidence, man? That's what we want to see. I say the 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime. If you say that is out of the question, show me some proof. It looks like the only way I'm going to convince him is to present him something. Some irrefutable hard evidence. As you wish. What? I'll give you the proof. It's out of the question that 2 witnesses saw 2 different moments of the same crime, as proven by this autopsy.
Take that!
This is the victim's autopsy reports. According to what was written here, Mr. Mason was stabbed in the abdomen. Only once. Only once? It's quite simple. The victim was stabbed precisely 1 time. Which means these 2 witnesses can't possibly have seen it happen 2 different times. Alright, I concede defeat. And there you go. Tip the scales. Wait, that means 4 jurors are now leaning to not guilty. We've done it, Mr. Naruto. We've won. What are you playing at, you dandy fool? Set your trap, sir. No one deceives me. We had a consensus. So shut your trap. I know a liar when I see one. And if the chap ever dares to cross the threshold of my shop, I'll take this razor-sharp blade and shave every last hair off his head. Please don't lick his blade. Please tell me he's a barber. Well, in quite a remarkable turn of events, the defense Summation Examination has flipped the balance of the scales of justice. The jurors now stand at 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Accordingly, there was no longer a large enough majority among the jury for me to adjudicate. And the trial must continue. Alright. Guys, I think this is where we're going to end this part here. So, hope you guys are finding this exciting. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, share, or subscribe. And if you're interested in getting this game for yourself, there are links to it in the description below for the stores it is available on. So until then, guys, I will see you all later. Goodbye.